Let's just switch out the logo here. I'm not going to actually put in a logo as such. I'm going to put in a little site name and motto thing instead, because I'm an awful logo builder. We go into the header section and specifically into the logo section, logo options. And obviously we could switch the image here. I'm not going to do that. We're going to go to custom. I'm not going to do that either. I'm actually going to go to text. And I did this earlier, fruit and veg, fresh is best, save and refresh. So we've switched that out here. Let's look at typography. And just as a matter of interest, we can also have tweak the logo typography specifically in here. But we're going to look at typography in its broadest sense in a site-wide way. And we have the font family, which is for the whole site, for the body typography. And let's go and change this to, I have no idea. Let's change it to tomorrow. Save and refresh. And we see the font changes for the whole site. So it's basically from the Astroid modules through to the logo, which in this case is the text. And I didn't specifically change that for the text here, for the site name and slogan. So this affects this here. And the menu, and of course the articles, the content of the articles, and indeed the modules. So it basically applies to pretty much everything. And as always, we can get more granular. So more granular would have been, for example, here in the logo, going in here and changing the typography for that to doing something custom. Or indeed coming down here, I'm going to change, actually let's just do here, let's change the menu, that's a good example, Times New Roman, save it, and refresh. So we now have a different font for the menu, but everything else is set to tomorrow. I'm going to go back to something sensible. Obviously a question of taste, but it is terribly flexible. As always, you can do so many things in here. So for example, you can change the font size and the spacing and the height and the weight. And what we're going to do here is we went to the trouble to set up our H's, our H1, our headers, through to H6. And I've even gone and added a second little H1 here, which we're going to treat separately. We're going to change that very, very soon. But let's just do the broadest stroke first. So I'm going to just change colors because that's kind of pretty easy just to demonstrate. So I'm going to go through the whole thing here for each header, each type of header. Definitely not trying to make something pretty here. And running out of ideas here. Let's do something, I have no idea. Let's take something like this. Save it. And refresh. So we have here all of these different headers. And I tweaked this earlier, so I think this is why these colors are not rippling through to this header that I was playing with inside Joomla in the article. But apart from that, these colors are being applied to pretty much everything across the site, be that the Joomla formatting here, so the article title, through to, for example, here, the titles for the modules, through to the content of the actual articles. So where I have headers in there, that is affected. This is the exception. I did this kind of on purpose by mistake. Let's just close this. Let's go into the articles. And that was in here in the About Us article. And I was tweaking with this and Let's just change that now to something else. Let's change it to, I have no idea, blue. Save it and refresh. Well, it's kind of unfortunate because they're blue and blue, but I think you get the idea. So even if we set something up at a asteroid, like a site-wide thing, a broad brush stroke, if you will, we can basically come in and treat those headers separately here on a header by header basis. As always, very, very many options. I'm going to try to wrap this up in some kind of halfway sensible way. Let's just go back to, well, let's just have a look at a couple of things here just to remind ourselves. In the menu items, we have options that will link into Astroid, and we haven't really gone into that. It's not really within the scope of these tutorials, just to remind ourselves that they're there. So we can make a mega menu, and that's completely mental. We can put modules in there and start putting in little custom icons and everything. We've got banner options, which links into the Astroid layout section. We'll just briefly poke our nose in there in a minute. Open graph, all that kind of stuff, custom code. That is the menu side of things. And in the articles, within the individual tabs for the articles, we've also got more options. I personally think this could be very interesting. The article type options for, this is something I'm very interested in, is looking at videos and setting this up here. Oh, it looks all very, very interesting. So just leave that regular blog options. So we could change the blog options in here on an article by article basis, obviously reflecting the Astroid formatting. And we've got open graph again. And we've even got here a little setting in here in the categories relating to Astroid in here. So we could, I guess we could influence stuff there on a category level. Let's just return to Astroid, one last little look before moving on. And I said I'd just touch on the header, the banner thing, I believe it was. So in here in the layout section, you'll sometimes find things that link up to those items we just looked at in the Joomla core. So in this case, the banner section, we saw that in there. I believe was in one of the menu tabs. So there's a lot of linking up on a very, very subtle level that is happening seamlessly between Astroid and Joomla. Just very briefly flying through here, these are all the very basic settings that I think you can more or less figure out on your own at the start. Page settings, how wide it is, light, dark, auto. I think this is pretty new, some of this stuff here. Preloader, that's this little thing here. You can switch it out. Favicon or the favicon, back to top. So that is that little arrow that we're seeing down here. And headers, colors, typography. We've looked at most things. Obviously in the miscellaneous section you can switch these things on and off, powered by, and you can change that, edit that out to whatever you so desire, XYZ, let's say. Save it. It really is extremely powerful, and you have so many options. I think that is pretty evident at this point. Let's just do coming soon. Like, for me, this is just one of those perfect examples of why this makes a lot of sense, this whole Joomla Astroid thing. This is just one of 100 little things that you can just set up with a couple of clicks when you have Joomla and Astroid playing so seamlessly with each other. So we're in here, going to just come here to coming soon, and we activate it. And it's just setting up a little clock, a countdown, and the social icons are activated, I could change the background color. Let's just say a nice kind of soothing green. Save and refresh. And we see the site is coming soon. We can switch this out with an image if we so desire. Select image. I have a site soon image and save it and refresh it. So extremely powerful and a lot of options, and just with clicks and a little bit of patience and perseverance, you can get to a place where your site can look very, very slick. I believe Astroid and Joomla are a match made in heaven. I think maybe at this point it's apparent. I hope so. At least that is the point of these tutorials. Thank you for your time.